English translation, 264th contact. Thursday, 14th May, 1998. Wizuoro 55 hours.
But this is a surprise because I really was not expecting you yet. Greetings and welcome. Also because I felt the need to see you anyway, which is why I wanted to try to reach you in the next few days. Florina was already here and I could have asked her about you. But I did not think there was such a hurry. Nevertheless, I am glad that I can still speak to you now.
Greetings, my friend. Does something seem to be bothering you?
You are right about that, and if I could talk about it right away, it would be very pleasant for me.
Do not force yourself to wait with what you have to say.
Good then. Once again, I am concerned about something I do not quite understand. Actually, it is related to intrigues and slander, which do not bother me in and of themselves, but which raise some questions. You know the schemers and slanderers Korf and LB. Both have now made a new interview with my lovely estranged wife, my ex-wife, which they now want to spread around the world as a film in July, apparently together with an explanation or revelation regarding the two photos of Asket and Nera, which I am supposed to have taken from a TV set, and which are not Asket and Nera, but the two American doppelgangers, which you listed yourself in the 39th contact conversation, by saying that two young women live in America and work together in the same job, who are exact images of Asket and Nera.
The two pictures also show the two doppelgangers in America.
How should I understand that? I myself photographed Asket and Nera.
That is true, but you have never received original pictures taken from your film.
I do not understand.
You really do not remember anymore?
Of what?
On the 3rd February 1985, when Quetzal and I visited you and explained to you some connections related to the photos mentioned.
No, I have no memory of it. What happened then?
We explained to you that you had received false pictures that did not show Asket and not Nera.
Now I do not understand anything anymore.
I understand. You have really forgotten everything that was certainly due to your life-threatening condition at that time, which was also connected with a partial amnesia, so you cannot remember much.
But please do not get suspenseful now.
In and of itself, we did not want to deal with these issues publicly at that time.
But I think that this is necessary if I have fake Asket and Nera pictures, which have been sold under this name until now. If that is the case, then I am going to be viciously attacked.
It is not your fault, because it has to be assigned to your photographer who let a group of black men, the men in black, force him to do the wrong thing and thereby cheated on you.
I know this scum! One of them also pursued my daughter Gilgamesha once when she was on her way home from school. Someone followed her with a knife in the hand. When she was not caught, the cowardly guys fled in a big black limousine.
I know the story. But listen now. Apparently it is necessary to tell you everything again, and this time it will be public if you want to record the conversation later.
Certainly.
So, since you have not let yourself be intimidated by any of the infamous and dangerous and even life-threatening machinations of the black men in black, since the beginning of your contacts with us, and since you even laughed at attempted murders and were always armed, with the appropriate permission of the authorities, I have to say the black men in black, found it necessary to make you look impracticable and unbelievable all over the world. Since they could not get to you themselves, they massively forced people working with you, such as photographer Schmid, to discredit you in the long run. Thus, Schmid was forced to produce forgeries of the pictures you had taken with our permission, that is, to forge them from scratch or to falsify the pictures you had taken. Several times your own films, which you gave to the photographer Schmid during the first time of your contacts to develop and to make pictures, were replaced by completely new and faked films. Consequently, you already received many false negatives and photos from the very beginning, or even faked pictures. This also happened with the film on which you captured Asket and Nera, and which you only got back months later, and which was in fact a product of the black men in black, who had found and photographed Asket's and Nera's doubles in America, after which the pictures were edited and handed over to you by Schmid. Of course, you believed that they were the originals, but that they were truthfully fakes, and your real photos were deceptively counterfeited. That is why you did not notice the deception, which is equally true for us. We only became aware of this fraud in the autumn of 1984, when we brought the pictures from you to Asket, because she wanted to have them. She noticed the deception immediately. Of course, consequently, we investigated the matter and found out that the black men in black, were responsible for the whole thing, and that the photographer was their coerced tool.
Note Ta from 3.3. 2005. The pictures of the doppelgangers are so deceptive that even Ptah let himself be misled and deceived by it. Only Asket noticed the deception 9 years later. American doppelgangers of the extraterrestrials, Asket and Nera. Image forgery, which was maliciously foisted on Billy by the Men in Black. Image forgery, instigated by the Men in Black. American doppelgangers of the extraterrestrials Asket and Nera. Image forgery, which was maliciously foisted on Billy by the Men in Black. Image forgery, instigated by the Men in Black. American doppelganger of the extraterrestrial Asket. Image forgery, which was maliciously foisted on Billy by the Men in Black. Image forgery, instigated by the Men in Black.
Schmid made the false pictures on their behalf and then submitted them to you as originals. So you were always of the opinion that they were your own pictures, also with regard to the pictures of Asket and Nera. It was precisely with regard to these pictures that we found out that Schmid immediately handed over the film handed over to him in this respect to the black men, or to the Men in Black, as they are called in your ufological circles, as the case may be, who within just a few days were able to locate and photograph the Asket-Nera doppelgangers in America several times, so that the two pictures known to you were created and handed over to you. The Giza intelligences also played a certain role in the whole thing, as well as on other occasions, as you know very well. But we were not able to clarify the exact connections. It is clear, however, that they had an impulse telepathic negative influence on a large number of Earth humans in order to damage, defame, or even kill you, as has been attempted several times, unsuccessfully, fortunately. And in the end, everything was done to make you and your mission impossible, especially by accusing you of cheating on photo forgeries. And both the Men in Black are still working today, as are the decades of impulse telepathic negativity against you and your mission, which is to be destroyed. And affected by these impulses of the Giza intelligences should be all those who work full of intrigues, slander, and other negative machinations against you and the mission without having knowledge of the impulses.
Not exactly pleasing. But how long will these Giza impulses continue to be effective on the Earth?
This may take another 200 or 300 years.
What should I do now with the photos? Under these circumstances, I cannot use them anymore, and of course I cannot sell them anymore. Now I really feel like a cheater because I declared them as Asket-Nera pictures.
You are not to blame for the whole thing. But you could simply call the pictures American Doppelgangers Ascot and Nera and continue to use them in this form.
That with Ascot's and Nera's pictures. That was 1975 or something. So it has been a long time, and the effects are coming today. That is what I call a calculation of time. Monstrous, and indeed everything demands respect from me. But why did we not record this in a contact report? Then the matter would have been openly resolved earlier.
Unfortunately, it was no longer possible from your side at that time. After Quetzal's last contact with you on the 31st of October 1984, and after the completion of your book, O.M., you were so ill in health and several years closer to death than to life that you were no longer able to write down contact conversations. It was only on the 17th of November 1989 that your health and your strength were so strong again that you were able to write down and rewrite our conversations again.
But that I have forgotten all this.
You know for yourself how many things and facts you had to learn again, and that you could not learn many things anymore. In addition, your memory is organically damaged, so it is no longer active in the way it used to be. Think only once of your powers of consciousness and consciousness abilities, with which you have accomplished many a tremendous feat.
Unfortunately, I know it is like that. In addition, one is often overtaxed, so one cannot always concentrate enough on those things that really need it most. But may I now ask where this photographer Schmid actually came from, because he never told me his address. He always picked up my films and negatives, etc. from me, and brought them back to me himself. Once asked, he explained that he could not give his address, because his wife was not allowed to know that he went in and out of my house. She was against me and became devilish as hell if she only heard my name. He only always said that he came from the Rhine Valley.
The man died years ago. Your question should therefore be superfluous. I just want to say that it was a lie that he lived in the Rhine Valley. The reason, however, that he did not give you an address must have been that he was under the pressure of the men in black, who really threatened him massively.
He always seemed a little anxious. I remember that very well.
With good reason when you think of the black men.
Actually, I feel sorry for the schemers and slanderers, because if they are blinded by the impulse telepathic machinations of the Giza intelligences, there is hardly any hope for them that they will ever come to reason and truth in this life. Consequently, they are more and more mistaken. By the way, you have sent these Giza twerps elsewhere. Is it really the case that they cannot get back to Earth from there, or cannot make contact with other intelligences to influence them and cause new harm?
The Earth humans can be sure that they will never again be bothered by these degenerates. Other intelligences are also safe from them.
Maybe another question comes to my mind regarding the Ascot Nera, respectively, the doppelganger images. But now I have another question I would like to ask you. There are several groups of extraterrestrials who function around here on the Earth, but to my knowledge you have nothing to do with them. But do they know that you are here?
No, because we also keep ourselves secret from these few. Our directives demand this, but also our security.
But do you know to what extent other extraterrestrials maintain contact with Earth humans? I mean with normal citizens and so on?
Mostly. Once in a while. From time to time, unwanted contacts with Earth humans arise. Or then, very rarely, examination contacts are carried out, which are about examinations and tests, etc. But I have explained this to you before. We do not know of any continuous contacts between extraterrestrials and Earth humans, but they could still exist under certain circumstances, which, however, is unlikely. Unfortunately, there was also a forced contact. whereby an Earth alien was practically imprisoned at a certain place by Earthlings, on the one hand for examination, and on the other hand because of his foreign and highly developed technology, etc.
NB, Ta, 3.3. 2005. The captured Earth foreigner already died some years ago.
Observations of unknown flying objects, a large number of which are certainly of extraterrestrial origin, have become very frequent in recent years. Can you give me the reason?
The time is approaching when the first official contact with Earth foreigners is to take place. The efforts of certain Earth-foreign humans come down to this. I am not allowed to explain more about this, because we are not allowed to intervene in current events that are not directly connected with our own interests. Whether this encounter with Earth humans will actually take place in the near future, however, has already become questionable again as a result of the new political turmoil, which will also increase again in the future, whereby malicious acts of war are to be expected.
Of course not. You have explained that to me very often.
It must be said, however, with regard to the fact that many humans on Earth observe the sky more attentively and see the most diverse, unknown flying objects, and that this is due to the controversy that has been triggered worldwide as a result of your contacts with us, as well as your photo evidence and your person in history. Through this controversy, many humans have become aware of the existence of the Earth foreigners, and consequently the humans are paying more attention to the heavens. From the whole, it follows, however, that very many Earth humans become familiar with the thought that extraterrestrial human life exists.
Yes, you have already explained that to me once, if I remember correctly. But now I remembered a question about the Men in Black and their machinations with the doppelganger pictures and the photographer. How could the Men in Black find the two Americans so easily and quickly, and also photograph them in the desired form?
The Men in Black, as they are always called because of their black clothes, have always had undreamt of possibilities for ordinary humans and citizens, which made it easy for them to find the two young artists. In fact, nothing remains hidden from these extremely unscrupulous men when they get involved in something. The pictures made of the doppelgangers, of which we actually told you on the 3rd of February 1985, were not made directly with the two young women, however, but were copied from a screening film that the Men in Black got hold of. I think this type of film used is called a review film. In any case, individual images of it were copied out, whereby the men, together with photographer Schmid, selected those which were most similar to your images of Asket and Nera, which is why you could be thus deceived. So the purpose of the whole thing was to create certain situational pictures that were deceptively similar to the pictures you made of Asket and Nera. The point was that you would, of course, distribute these fake, or rather doppelganger pictures and sell them to interested parties, as real pictures of Asket and Nera. But it was precisely this that one day would put you in the position of a cheater, because it was calculated that sooner or later someone hostile to you would investigate these images and thus get to the bottom of them, with the inevitable consequence that the aforementioned screening film or review film would be found and the false Asket-Nera images in it would be recognized as those of the doppelgangers. This should then be taken as proof of being able to expose you as an alleged cheater, thus making yourself and your story impossible and destroying your mission. So already back in 1975, everything was thoroughly pre-programmed by the Men in Black. Just that the corresponding image sequences had to be found in the foreseeable future, with their help, which should have happened by now and will be exploited by your enemies in the not-too-distant future. And these enemies against you and your mission, that is beyond doubt for us. are all purely Earth human persons, humans whose spirit forms originated on Earth, who are under the influence of the Giza impulses, which are still effective for a long time.
So also Corfin B.
Without any doubt.
If you have already talked so much about the men in black, I have a question. Quetzal once told me that these men were also responsible for an assassination attempt on me. What attack was that?
It is not just about one attack. Because of the 15 attempted murders so far, 11 truthfully go back to the men in black.
I thought it was just one. The second attack was carried out by a fanatical Jehovah Witness who tried to shoot me in Hinwil through my office window. Another time, the Giza twerps were involved in an attack when lightning struck me out of the blue, and so on. Once Jacobus Bertschinger and the brothers Hans and Konrad Schutzbach were there when a bullet hit me on the armor plate in front of my chest. Once Silvano Lehmann stood next to me as a bullet hit the ground next to my feet. And also, Wendell Stevens was once there when a shot was fired, and the bullet hit only a few centimeters next to my head in the wall, etc.
These things are all familiar to me, so you do not have to mention them.
Good. The men in black. I used to ask Quetzal if he could tell me where they come from, and which organization they belong to. He explained things to me that sounded unbelievable, and that concern areas that are hardly comprehensible for people who do not have enough imagination to envision everything.
Quetzal also explained to you that the explanations he gave you were a serious matter of trust, that you should not talk about for the time being.
I know, and I have always stuck to that. I only came to talk about it because I wanted to ask you whether the matter must continue to be a matter of trust, and therefore remain secret.
That is still the case for the time being, yes, and it will not change very quickly.
Good, then this topic is finished. Well, it has been asked of me if when I leave this world, so when I pass away, then the contacts with you will end for good? Or if someone else is intended or wanted for further contacts with you?
Physical or telepathic contacts will no longer be continued, but only the existing impulse telepathic contacts as well as new ones of this kind, of which those affected have no knowledge and therefore do not know that they will be under such telepathic impulses.
Next question. The Shroud of Turin. I am asked again and again about its origin and whether it is real, whether actually Emmanuel is depicted on it. You have explained to me that the shroud is probably a real burial shroud and a deceased person is depicted on it, but that it is not of Emmanuel.
This corresponds to the facts.
Then I have 2 or 3 more questions here, if you allow me.
But after that, I want to talk to you in confidence and ask you for advice. I had an illuminating vision which I would like to discuss with you.
A Halatemfa, a vision of enlightenment, if I am not mistaken.
You still understand some of our language terms, despite your amnesia and impaired memory.
I recently looked around in some of my notes and came across that term again that I have heard from Quetzal before, who wanted to talk to me about something like that. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Then here is my question. The bioorganic flying objects. Can these life forms take on human form and in this form, for example, come into contact with terrestrial humans?
No, this possibility is not given to them. Nor are they of any human-like nature, but pure energy bodies capable of transformation and dimensional change, which appear as floating forms of light energy in one or the other dimension, are able to change their light intensity, but do not have any form of conscious consciousness.
The so-called Lomas film was made in Mexico. What do you know about it, or do you know which group of extraterrestrials is connected with it?
I am neither familiar with such a film, nor do I understand your question about aliens who are supposed to be connected to it. Nor can we concern ourselves with all things that take place on the Earth.
But I thought you were watching all the extraterrestrial objects that fly into earthly space and buzz around. The Lomas film shows a flying disc turning on its own axis, flying over a city and sometimes disappearing behind skyscrapers.
None of this is known to us. But as I said, we cannot take care of all things that happen on the Earth.
And could you not clarify that?
I do not see any sense in it, maybe later.
Then simply not. Here's the last question for now. What are your calculations regarding the number of suns in our Milky Way?
We do not have exact data, only estimated numbers.
And what does your science of astronomy estimate or so? How many suns exist in the Milky Way?
Our calculations amount to about 165,165,000 giant suns and 405 million medium and small ones.
Thank you, that is it for now. Then please tell us about your illuminating vision.
So I will begin. Your remarks now make everything understandable to me. I am very grateful to you. This also justified my visit, which I carried out for the sake of your advice and statements.
You do not have to thank me, dear friend. But if you can answer one last question that is still on my tongue.
Gladly.
So, you and Quetzal explained everything to me on the 3rd of February 1985 regarding the alleged Ascot Nera pictures, which in reality represent the American doppelgangers you mentioned in a contact conversation, which unfortunately is no longer present to me because I really forgot everything. And now the question why you did not explain these facts to me again later. If I had taken everything consciously, then I would have taken the pictures out of circulation and published the corresponding information in our 3-monthly publication, Wassermannszeit.
All these years we did not know that you had forgotten our explanations regarding these issues, otherwise we would of course have pointed them out to you again in due time.
I would like to take the liberty of asking one more question that has just come up. You said, in relation to the men in black, that the declarations on this were a matter of trust, and that this would not change so quickly. Does that mean that perhaps in the future you will be able to make open statements about this? Many humans would certainly be interested in this.
This possibility cannot be excluded, but open declarations can only be made from our side if we know the exact how, from where, and why of these mysterious beings. For the time being, all this is still unclear to us, even though we have been trying for decades to solve the mystery. So far, we are only dependent on our assumptions, as they are known to you.
They are to me, yes. But have you not made any progress yet?
In certain respects, yes. For example, in the matter that today we have clear evidence that it was actually those men in black who took so many important things out of your locked rooms and containers. Their many opportunities which they have at their disposal and which they master can be easily accomplished by such organizations. There are practically no limits to them, and that fact alone makes them very dangerous.
The guys do not shy away from murder either, not to mention their intrigues, which have always done them a lot of harm, driven people mad and insane when they became annoying and they did not just want to kill them, because their mental and conscious instability offered better opportunities to cover up their crimes, not to speak of what they did and still do with forcing people, consciously or unconsciously, to do things that defy all rules of honorability and proper action. And what they have done and continue to do with regard to the leadership of certain governments and the military, etc., is absolutely staggering.
That is all true. But we should not talk about these matters any further now, because it would not be good to expose assumptions before they have been proven. And that would happen if we continued to discuss these issues. But the fact is, and this may be said, that all those who know about the existence of these beings and deal with them do not know in any wise what is behind them and how dangerous these men in black really are, whose machinations intimidate every normal human being and make them act according to the will imposed upon them, and who want to prevent by all means that positive extraterrestrial forces establish contacts with the terrestrial human beings and helpfully assist them. But more may and should now really no longer be spoken.
End of the flagpole. Well, let us leave it. Only one thing I would like to address in this matter, and that is no secret. The men in black have got the same abilities as the Giza twerps had. Namely in the form that they are able to influence the humans of the Earth negatively and maliciously by unnoticeable telepathic impulses. And it is precisely in this respect that I would like to ask you whether you know whether these unpleasant impulses still affect our group members today, as they did very often in the past.
That is beyond doubt. But the individual members have consolidated themselves over the years to such an extent that they have already nipped the majority of the impulses that impair reason and truth in the bud, which is particularly peculiar to those who are consciously and psychologically quite stable. Reason and truth have borne good fruit with them. Nevertheless, it must be said that the dangerous telepathic impulses of the men in black, as well as the impulses of the deported Giza intelligences that will remain effective for a long time to come, must not be regarded as harmless.
It seems important to me that you point this out. But now I would like to thank you for giving Florina permission to have her beamship photographed by Edith while she was in Luino. Her photo is well done, and the beamship is well recognizable high above the Lago Maggiore. I had different enlargements made of the picture, on which the ship is clearly recognizable as that of Florina's. I would like to say that it would be very gratifying if other members of the group could take pictures of one of your ships here and there. There would be further proof that you and your aircraft actually exist, and that I was not the only one who could photograph Pleiadian Plear and beamships.
It was a pleasure for both Florina and for me to give Edith such an opportunity. But this had its special reason, as Florina explained to you. So you can assume a real exception in this respect, because we have no need to provide further evidence in this regard. Furthermore, your existing image material should be enough proof of our existence and that of our aircraft. Nor do we want any further evidence of our aircraft and our existence, in any form whatsoever, for what had to be created in this regard has been done. That is all it takes. But I think about it again.
And what about it, if I want to do a further analysis regarding metal pieces, etc.?
Also, these and all other materials are included. Also with that was done what had to be done and clarified, so more is not to be done, and we also do not wish that more is done in this respect. You can also find the reason for this in the fact that all the evidence supplied so far has been fruitless, and that it has even been accused of fraud and the like, which proves to us that evidence of this kind is pointless, and that the Earth humans, at least the negating ones, are not yet in any way capable of recognizing and accepting the truth. These human beings are so taken in by themselves that they consider themselves infallible and omniscient, although their consciousness-based light only begins to glow in the first signs. As you have said so often, the egg wants to be smarter than the chicken. And in this respect, this proverb is exactly the point of negators, know-it-alls, slanderers, etc., because in their short development they want to be more omniscient than creation itself.
Exactly, I have said that many times before. Maybe not exactly like you, but in a similar form.
I know, but now... Friend Edward, I have to go about my obligations again. But not before I have paid you and all the group members the greetings I received from my daughters Simyase and Plaja, as well as from Asket and Quetzal, Taljda and Manara.
Thank you very much, and best regards back. It has been a long time since I heard anything from everyone.
then I want to go now. And when I come back, unfortunately, I do not know. Salome, and goodbye.
Take care, my friend, and Salome.